Welcome back to our channel. Today I wanted to talk about this little thing over here, which is called a Just Egg, or a plant folded egg. This company has been making these for a while now and we love buying them. They're really delicious. They actually taste like eggs. And I've been kind of fooling around with a few different recipes to try to imitate this because they are pretty expensive for just an egg substitute. And so we actually went and found some, they're called mung dal, or like split mung beans. And so we've been using the split mung beans, which Just Egg uses in their recipe. They use split mung bean powder in it. So it's kind of just like the regular mung beans, and I've tried to replicate the recipe the best I can. So I'm gonna show you today how we replicate the recipe, and I'll show you our favorite way, I guess, to make the omelet that we enjoy making. And we put this omelet in a folded form like this, and then we can add it into our sandwiches, or we can just eat it plain on the side with a little bit of dipping sauce. I will take you into the kitchen now. I'll show you how we make our copycat Just Egg. Let's go. Here is Arvin in the kitchen. He said he is going to be my sous chef. We've got some onions over here. I like to have a little bit of onions within our omelets. And then I'll show you what we've got over here. So we've actually soaked these split mung beans overnight. So it's pretty much just mung beans that have been split and the shells have been taken off because normally they have a green shell on them. And we've just soaked these overnight for about probably 8 to 10 hours. You want to soak them. That is what we are going to be adding into the blender. So we blend it all together, and I like to use an unsweetened almond milk for this. So it's kind of a 1-to-1 ratio. So I soaked 2 cups of the split mung beans, and then I'm going to add 2 cups of almond milk. You can add a little bit more to make it a little more runny if you want. But these are the seasonings that I use. So I add a bit of baking powder to make it a little bit fluffy. And then I like to add smoked paprika. We've got onion powder. We actually ran out of garlic powder, but I will probably just chop up some garlic and put it into the omelet so we get the garlickiness. We buy this. This is what gives it its like eggy kind of flavor slash aroma, is this black coarse salt that is infused with this particular thing. And this is great. We ended up buying it at one of our markets nearby. I think you can buy it at a lot of, Indian markets that have it, hun? I think it's Indian markets that end up carrying a lot of the black salt. And then we've got nutritional yeast because I like to give it that little bit of cheesy flavor. And then we've got some smoked salt as well because I like kind of adding the smoked seasonings to it to give it a nice smoky flavor. We actually had one of these left in our freezer, so I'm going to add a little Italian plant-based sausage from President's Choice. We get this at Superstore. Okay, over here we've got peppers. I'm gonna do probably half of each of these just to get some color into the dish. We've got some cremini mushrooms, and then I've also got some portobello mushrooms that I'm gonna chop up, and we'll put those in the omelet as well. And I think that'll probably be it. And I'm just using a little bit of canola oil in the pan. Sometimes I've used a little bit of, here we have a little bit of coconut oil or like sesame oil too, which tastes really good. And so now I'm just going to turn on our cast iron pan. Oh, Arvin already turned it on. Perfect. We've got our cast iron pan heating up with a little bit of oil in it. And then we're gonna kind of saute the veggies right now. And then after that, we've got this. So I guess while Arvin's sauteing the veggies, I will start mixing this. Okay, so we got all of the mung beans in here now, and then I put 2 cups of almond milk. You can also half this recipe if you want. I'm just making a lot. But now we've got the baking powder. I do about a tablespoon of baking powder. Got the tablespoon of baking powder there. And then I kind of just estimate the seasonings because that's kind of how I cook. So for the paprika, I just do a few little sprinkles in there, about that much. And then we've got the smoked salt, which is kind of hard to do with one hand, but I do like a few little grinds of the smoked salt just to add a little smokiness to it. And then we've got the nutritional yeast. I do about 2 tablespoons of this nutritional yeast here. So I'm gonna maybe put the camera down and get the 2 scoops in there. Arvin is getting the onions in the pan now, and then he is going to chop up half of each of these. Okay. I'm directing Arvin. So yeah, we're gonna chop up half of each of those, and then just chop them, like julienne them, into like thin julienne slices. We're gonna multitask, and we're gonna stir this while I'm also finishing doing the other part of it. Got the onions. I think I'll just turn the temperature down so we can multitask a little bit more. Arvin's not done the peppers yet anyway, so we'll just turn that down a bit. We're gonna get these so they're translucent. I like to have a really soft onion. I cook my veggies quite a bit, so it's not like a stir fry where it's like only partially cooked. I like to try to cook it quite a bit. You get a little bit of browning on it too. It gives it a nice sweet flavor. Now we'll go over here. We did add the nutritional yeast in there, and we still have yet to add this coarse black salt. So for the coarse black salt, I've got it here in the bag. I add about 1/4 teaspoon. I don't like to have too much of it. It adds a really strong flavor, so just start out with a little bit at a time until you get used to the flavor of it, because it is pretty strong. And then for the onion powder, I kind of just sprinkle the onion powder in as well. And like I said, I normally add like a garlic powder, but we are out, so maybe I'll just add a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, maybe 2. Yeah, we'll add 2 teaspoons or 2/4 teaspoons, so 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, and I would say I add about 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder normally as well. And then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna put the lid on, and this is gonna go straight on the Vitamix. Now you don't want to mix this too much, in the sense that you just want to blend it until it's smooth. You don't want to like leave it on there and let it heat up, because as soon as it heats up, it starts to cook the mung beans, and then you end up with kind of like a chunky texture, which you don't want. You just want to keep it cool. I know with blenders like the Vitamix, they tend to heat up after only doing like 2 or 3 minutes of it, so you don't want to do it for that long. A minute's probably good. And if you have a Vitamix, you can just use the smoothie function. So I have this little smoothie function which does 50 seconds, and it does it at a really high speed for a very short period of time. So we're gonna process this now. There we go. I will show you the texture it looks like now that we're done here. It's just a nice watery type texture. It kind of looks like a very milky smoothie. It's a very liquidy kind of texture, and that's kind of what you're looking for. So I have seen a lot of people add maybe a little bit of turmeric to give it that egg coloring, if you want to add a little bit of coloring. But if you add too much turmeric, you end up with the turmeric-y flavor, and that's not my favorite, so I just tend to not put that in. It doesn't really need to look like an egg to me. Now we're gonna go back over here. We're gonna stir these onions a little bit more. I'm glad I turned down the heat. It's looking really nice. And I think maybe, like I said, I'll get Arvin to do some garlic as well, because having that garlicky flavor in there will be really nice. feel like ginger might even be kind of nice. Arvin's like, I don't want ginger in it. I put ginger in everything. I love ginger. Arvin's like, I don't know about the ginger in there. Okay, he's got all of the peppers for us. Now, you could dice them. I like to have mine like kind of chunkier in my omelets because I cook them quite a bit. But if you're not cooking it a lot and it's kind of more stir-fried, then you could just dice it and you won't get as big of chunks. But I just like to have a bit of texture in mine. So I'm going to turn up the heat now since we added some more stuff there. I might actually add the sausage in soon just to kind of give some of the sausagey flavors throughout the stir fry. So I'm going to add that in. Over stirring it now. Arvin's got the garlic we're going to add in. Go ahead. Yeah, you can add it in. And I will mix it up. We are going to hallow this stir fry. Am I saying that right, hun? That's mix, right, in Tagalog? I think so. Hallow. I don't have the best Filipino accent, but I'm trying to learn a bit more Tagalog, so I'm going to hallow this stir fry. Arvin's laughing at me over there. Okay, we will let this stir fry a little bit more. I'll get Arvin to chop up these mushrooms as well. And then we will add some mushrooms and I'll show you what it's looking like at the end after we get everything added. So I took the sausage out and I'm just chopping it into little cubes. So I dice it I slice it in half and then I slice it again to get kind of these quarters. And then I just kind of dice it that way. And I like about this size chunk. You could do whatever size chunk you want. Okay, I'm going to have to stop and wait until you guys stop meowing. Hello. They're hungry. Arvin's feeding them. Okay, I'm getting distracted. Arvin's got them food now, so they're not going to meow. Okay, back over to the stir fry. I've taken out the stir fry stuff now, and then I've added a little bit of extra oil. This pan is still pretty hot, but I'm waiting till it cools down a little bit. I've turned the temperature down to, I guess you would consider that a low medium heat. You don't want to cook this at a super high temperature because it will burn easily or stick to the pan. The other thing you need when you're cooking it is a lid as well because you're going to want to kind of steam it in there as well. So I've got oil. We're going to add some of this mix now to the pan. I like to make a nice sized omelet. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, try to film this, and I just add a little bit of this to the omelet. And I'll add kind of more like when you eat it as well, but I like to have some inside of the omelet. Try to add it as evenly as you can to the omelet. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the lid on it. And the other step that I do is if I notice that it's not steaming up enough, I always keep a cup of water on the side and I'll pour a little water sometimes on the side just to make it steamy, and it helps it cook a little bit better. And then once it's cooked on the one side, I'll show you what it looks like before I flip it. So you're looking for about this texture on the top, and then I've kind of just opened up the bottom there. You don't want to get it too brown, so that's what you're looking for. And you're just going to take it and you're going to flip it, and then what I like to do is I put the lid on again and let it cook a little bit more. And like I said, you just add a little bit of water to it as well. Maybe I'll try to Hey Arvin, can you come hold this and I'll show them how I add my water? So all I do is I have the lid pretty much on and I'm gonna add a little bit, and it just adds a little bit more of that like steaming action to it, so then it cooks in the steam, and I find it helps it not stick as much when I have it there. Thanks, Arvin. Arvin held that for me. I needed both hands for it. But yeah, so it'll cook for another couple minutes there on the medium-low heat. And then we will have an omelet, and I'll show you what the finished product looks like after it's done cooking. Now the omelet is almost done. I've added a little extra of the stir-fried veggies to the one side there. And then this stuff over here is actually just a little bit of the cheddar flavored Daya cheese shreds. And I do that sometimes just to add a little bit of that cheesy flavor if I want. Most of the time I don't add the cheese shreds, but they're a nice little addition if you want a little extra cheesiness to your breakfast. So what I'm gonna do is I'll keep the lid on so it melts a little bit more, but I'll just fold it over and then we'll serve it up on a plate. And here is what the finished product looks like here. We've got it folded in half on the plate. I added a little bit of green onions to give it a little bit of color. I hope you liked today's video, and let us know down in the comments if you end up trying this recipe out. I'll leave the link to the written recipe as well down there for you all. And if you liked the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. That really helps our channel. And we will see you guys in the next one. Bye!